Do you have a hobby or do you have a business? This is a question we need to answer because it's going to be very important on whether you can take tax deductions for them. And if you can, you're going to want to be doing it. Let's take a look. So, do you have a hobby or do you have a business? We're going to get right down to the brass tacks on this one of how to analyze this. If you are a business, you are seriously attempting to make a profit and you're doing things that support that notion. What might support the notion of being an actual business and pursuing a profit? You might be investing in advertising and marketing to get your name out there, build your brand. You might be tracking your financial information properly, using QuickBooks, making sure things are in the right spot. You might be having somebody do that for you. You might formalize your business structure. Maybe you have an LLC, you're structured as an S-Corp, whatever it may be. You've taken the time to decide what it makes sense for you to be, ultimately underlying that notion that you're a business. If someone ever comes and checks on this, if you're selling a couple things on Amazon and taking thousands of dollars in business expenses, and you can't prove out these types of things that you're taking yourself seriously as a business, when the IRS does come and check, you are not going to get those tax deductions you tried to take. What's going to happen is they're going to charge you back for those and you're going to pay penalties and interest for trying to take them, trying to say your hobby was a business. To try and drive this point home, now we're going to take a look at 3 examples of how this could work in the real world. Example 1, photography. If you're a hobby, you take photos of nature, you like taking photos, but you rarely sell them. Maybe you've sold a couple, mostly you share it on social media. That's ultimately going to be a hobby, right? You're not doing things, you are not outlaying expenses that are geared towards pursuing a profit in that business. You just like doing it. You're not outlaying expenses to drive you to that point. You have a hobby there. Now, if you have a business, maybe you're booking paid sessions with clients. You have a system that helps you do that. You're selling prints online. You're using that as a way to generate your income. You market through a website. You may track income, expenses, and a dedicated accounting software, as we mentioned earlier. Generally, you have put these pieces in place that facilitate the notion that you're a business and ultimately help you facilitate that business. Tracking your information properly is going to give you the insight you need to grow that photography business, understand where your expenses are going, that type of stuff. People will be able to see that easily if they come and check on it. Here's an example that may apply to a lot of folks that want to start their own business, selling goods out of your house, right? Homemade goods and items. If you have a hobby, you might make some jewelry for personal enjoyment. Again, you may sell a couple pieces of those, but you're not advertising and marketing this business to drive income in and drive profit in a way that would substantiate you being a business. You just like to make these things. You're not trying to drive a profit. Now, if you are a business, again, you're going to leverage things that are going to help you sell those items. Maybe you have an Etsy store. You're going to outlay costs for that, but ultimately that's going to help you drive that profit. Another example of this would be investing in a brand building event. Perhaps you go to a craft fair to get your name out there, meet some people that ultimately will help facilitate that business. Again, things you can point at if the IRS comes and checks that says, this is a business, this is why I was taking tax deductions for it, this is why I show that net operating loss. Whatever it may be, you just need to have these understandings of what makes a business a business. And example 3, one that's easy for me because I'm always looking for ways I might be able to do this, music, the music business. What do you do if you have a hobby? If you're like me, you love playing music, but I'm not playing gigs. I don't generate an income off of it. You may occasionally upload songs to YouTube or Spotify. You might sell a few songs. Again, selling does not mean a business. In every example we've shown here, you could be selling something and very clearly not have a business you're trying to run. Now back to the music example, how might you have a business? Again, a touring musician would be a great example. That's an easy one. That's how you make your income. You tour around, you play shows to make money, and you're doing that to support yourself ultimately. That's going to be a business. In that case, you can use you're using your instruments, your recording equipment, anything you're using to facilitate that product can become a business expense and ultimately becomes able to be written off on your taxes. This is a very important topic for somebody who's looking or flirting with that line of hobby versus business and would like to push it into the territory of being a business. You need to be taking that notion seriously, and if you're just taking tax deductions under the notion that you are a business, you're positioning yourself to have a lot of liability when it comes to a potential audit or somebody coming to look at these numbers and asking you, why do you consider yourself a business? Make sure you just understand the key components. Ultimately, you can turn your hobby into a business by placing some of these activities within your organization, doing them, pursuing that profit. When you are flirting with that line, there are definitely ways to push yourself from being a hobby into being a business. But the items we are talking about are exactly what you need to understand. Understand the components that you need to put in place so that it operates, looks like, and ultimately is a business when somebody comes and asks you about it.